School was supposed to be straightforward. Kids brought lunchboxes, scribbled notes on lined paper, and maybe passed folded-up letters that said, "Do you like me? Check yes or no." But the 2020s flipped the script. Walk into a classroom today and you'll find 11-year-olds filming "Get Ready With Me" videos before school, complete with acrylic nails, ring lights, and enough Sephora products to bankrupt their parents.
Go get our nails done for school. Okay,
Bro, you could do 3.
Kids are walking hallways with iPhones that cost more than their teacher's car, while moms are dropping them off in bathrobes, half asleep, latte in one hand, car keys in the other. The education system feels less like a system and more like a bizarre parody of itself. Schools ban hoodies and hats, but hand out Chromebooks like candy. Teachers beg kids to put down their phones, while the kids are busy editing TikToks in real time. And into this circus enters Miss Williams, better known to the internet as Teacher Bay. She isn't a viral sensation because of her lesson plans. She didn't invent a genius way to make fractions fun. She didn't become famous for turning around a struggling school or publishing groundbreaking research in education. Nope, she's viral because she shows up to teach 11-year-olds multiplication tables in outfits that looked ripped from a Fashion Nova haul. Tight dresses, sky-high heels, a body shaped by a Brazilian butt lift that the internet swears has its own gravitational pull. And the world noticed. Fast. Parents clutched their pearls and demanded she be fired. Kids whispered about it in the hallways. Strangers online argued about whether she was an inspiration or an embarrassment. One day she's a teacher, the next she's a full-blown internet celebrity, branded Teacher Bay, and turned into the latest culture war battleground. But here's where it gets messy. The debate over Miss Williams isn't just about her wardrobe. It's about everything her presence represents in a world where the lines between education, social media, and influencer culture are completely blurred. If a teacher looks like an Instagram model, does that automatically make her unprofessional? Or is this just society once again over-policing women's bodies, especially when those bodies don't fit into a narrow definition of modesty? Think about it. If she were slimmer, flatter, less curvy, would anyone care? Or is the outrage fueled by the fact that her BBL doesn't just enter the classroom, it practically takes a front row seat? On the flip side, when you're teaching literal kids while dressed like you're about to hit the club, does it really matter whether the criticism is body shaming or not? Shouldn't professionalism come before personal expression? That's the contradiction that makes Teacher Bay more than just a viral meme. She's a walking example of the weird, sometimes hypocritical world we've built around schools, teachers, and kids. A world where 11-year-olds wear nails longer than their pencils, where teachers double as influencers, and where a classroom can blow up on TikTok faster than any celebrity drama. However, this video isn't about the weird trends in the education system. It's about how Teacher Bay's behavior is a sign of things that need to be changed. She's been making rounds on the internet for all the wrong reasons, being called a pedophile to being accused of seducing children.
She's a pedophile.
Then you are a pedophile. You're looking for attention.
And this is just the beginning, because we believe that Teacher Bay's outfits and her behavior are just the tip of the iceberg. Old TikTok accounts and their content have started a whole new theory. Speculations that she might have been setting the stage for work or for starting an OF account. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the controversy of Teacher Bay and how her behavior is just not acceptable. Now, if you don't know anything about this woman, she's known as Miss Williams or Teacher Bay, and she's been sparking controversy for wearing borderline inappropriate clothes at the school where she works, teaching 11-year-old kids. Miss Williams has built a strong presence on TikTok and Instagram, where she's gained quite a following. On her main TikTok account, That Girl Peachy, she has more than 138,000 followers, while her account on Instagram, Peachy Skin, has over 78,000 followers. And honestly, those numbers are impressive when you realize she doesn't even have a massive catalog of content. She only has a handful of videos on her accounts, yet the reach is enormous. Her videos regularly pull in huge numbers. Even the clips that seem casual or random end up landing in the millions of views. In fact, some of her most popular videos have crossed over 10 million views. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much effort she's actually putting into her content or how often she's posting. The reality is that her account still pulls views simply because of the shock factor. Like we mentioned earlier, her TikTok doesn't even have that much on it. We're talking around 16 or 17 posts in total. That's it, and yet the attention she's managed to gather from such a small amount of content is wild. Now, whether she's recently deleted a bunch of posts or she's always kept her account this minimal, we don't really know. But either way, it's clear she doesn't need a full catalog of videos to get people watching. We went through her entire TikTok and Instagram in just a few hours, and even that short dive was more than enough to give us plenty to talk about. Her pages are basically a rabbit hole of questionable content, a mix of thirst traps, provocative clips, and moments that honestly cross the line from attention-seeking to outright cringe. The deeper you scroll, the harder it gets to ignore how inappropriate a lot of it feels, especially when you remember she's supposed to be teaching 11-year-olds by day. What makes it even more interesting is that she's not exactly blind to her reputation. She actually has a Twitter account under the name Most Hated, which kinda says it all. She knows she's not everyone's favorite, and in some ways she seems to lean into that role. But watching her content, it's hard not to pick up on the attitude behind it all. She carries herself with this superiority complex, almost like she believes she's the teacher, the one who's hotter, bolder, and more talked about than anyone else in her profession. And it's clear she's chasing a particular kind of validation. So much of her content feels geared toward men who fetishize teachers, men who see the classroom less as a place of learning and more as a kink fantasy. That's the audience she's really speaking to, whether she admits it or not. That being said, she was first brought into the limelight when her videos of her classroom started circulating, and they spread like wildfire. Tight dresses that looked like they'd been spray painted on, stiletto heels better suited for a Friday night rooftop lounge, and a silhouette that had people arguing in the comments section like they were in a Supreme Court hearing. And let's be clear, these weren't sneaky paparazzi shots or grainy leaked footage. No, most of the time these videos were coming straight from her own phone. Polished, posed, and posted with hashtags ready for the algorithm. On one side, you had people in full meltdown mode. This is unprofessional. What example is this setting for our kids? Why does my child's 5th grade teacher look like she's about to host an after party? They weren't just concerned about her wardrobe, they were concerned about what it represented. To them, Miss Williams wasn't just breaking a dress code, she was breaking the unspoken contract that teachers should blend into the background, the invisible adults guiding kids through multiplication tables and geography maps without distraction. But on the other side, the internet did what it always does. It also rallied to her defense. People claimed the backlash was just thinly veiled body shaming. If she were shaped differently, would anyone care, they asked. Why is it her fault her body looks like that in clothes? For every parent ready to call the school board, there was a Twitter thread pointing out the hypocrisy of punishing a woman for simply existing in her own skin. And then there were the students. Imagine being 11 years old, sitting in math class, and your teacher walks in looking like she's headlining a hot girl summer tutorial. Do you think those kids are focusing on fractions, long division? No, they're going home and asking questions their parents aren't ready to answer. Miss Williams didn't just walk into the classroom, she walked straight into the awkward territory where professionalism, puberty, and public image collide. What made this controversy snowball was the fact that Miss Williams herself leaned into it. Instead of dialing it back, she doubled down. More videos, more outfits, more poses that screamed influencer first, teacher second. And the more she posted, the more fuel there was for the debate. Suddenly, she wasn't just that teacher in a tight dress. She became a full-blown internet phenomenon. News outlets picked it up, YouTubers made commentary videos, TikTok stitched her posts, and forums debated her like she was the latest Marvel villain. Some saw her as a feminist icon, unafraid to challenge outdated norms. Others saw her as the perfect example of everything wrong with the education system. The truth is, both sides had a point. Yes, she was being body policed to some degree. Women with curvier bodies are judged harsher for wearing the same outfits others could get away with. But also, yes, she knew exactly what she was doing. These weren't neutral, professional outfits with a coincidental fit. This was deliberate, curated thirst trap adjacent content, filmed and posted for the algorithm, not just the classroom. And that's what makes the classroom controversy so captivating. It's not just about one teacher's fashion choices, it's about how those choices collided with an education system already struggling to keep up with a world where kids grow up online. Parents barely keep it together. and the line between role model and influencer gets blurred by the day. Now let's actually talk about her videos for a second and try to figure out why people are so mad at her in the first place. Because honestly, at first glance, there doesn't seem to be that much wrong. Sure, her dresses might raise an eyebrow or two. They're tight, short, and sometimes look like she's on her way to a club straight after 5th period math. The shoes? Yeah, definitely more bottle service VIP lounge than elementary school hallway. But on the surface, it's just extra, nothing outright sinister. And that's the tricky part. If you're just scrolling and see one picture, you might think, okay, maybe her outfits are a little much, but whatever. Nothing harmful, right? But once you actually dive into her TikTok and Instagram, that's when things start to click, and not in a good way. That's when you begin to notice the red flags, the weird undertones, and the flat-out cringe that makes people uncomfortable. And trust us, once you've seen enough of her content, you start to understand why the internet collectively said, yeah, this ain't it. So we did exactly that. We went through her posts, dug through her content, and now we're going to show you why so many of her videos are more than just a teacher with a tight dress. They're bizarre, uncomfortable, and honestly raise way too many questions. The very first video of hers that we came across was this video captioned, Teacher Bay First Day. And funnily enough, it also happens to be one of the most popular videos on her entire account. This single clip alone racked up over 10.5 million views. 10 million! Now about this video. First off, we genuinely don't even know why it has so many views. Because, let's be real, there's basically nothing happening in it. She's just standing there, peeking out from behind a wall like she's either lost or trying to sneak into the teacher's lounge without her principal noticing. Meanwhile, someone off camera is recording and hyping her up, calling her a baddie. Well, she's just there feeling herself. That's it. That's the whole video.
My baddie, Teacher Bay neighbor. Miss Williams. Pose. She's so pretty.
And trust us when we say this, most of her videos follow this exact same formula. Same setting, same vibe, same nothing really happening energy. She'll usually start off with her back turned to the camera, then slowly turn around, say a quick line or two, maybe give a little smirk, and then just walk off. That's it.
Look at Teacher Bay.
I gotta say this. Earn.
Oh, look at Miss Williams. Hey, Miss Williams. It's Monday.
It's Monday.
Oh. Y'all, look at Miss Williams. Good morning, Miss Williams. Good morning.
We mean, you get the idea. And if she's not doing the turn around, say a line, walk off routine, then it's basically just her walking around aimlessly while someone conveniently has the camera angled right at her backside. That's the whole show. And honestly, when you step back and realize this is supposed to be a teacher in a school setting, it stops being harmless little videos and starts looking a whole lot more uncomfortable. Yeah, and that's pretty much her entire content strategy in a nutshell. And it's very obvious why she does this walking around aimlessly thing. She's flaunting her very big backside. And look, we'll give credit where it's due. It's impressive, and being confident in your body's great. Nothing wrong with wanting to show off when you feel like it. But here's the catch. Doing that in a school setting, on a public profile, where you know full well your students and their parents might stumble across it, that's where it crosses the line. Nobody says she can't wear what she wants in her free time or post whatever she likes on her separate account. She's got every right to do that. The issue is that she's blending her role as an educator with this baddie teacher persona on the exact same platform. So one moment you're seeing her grade papers and talking to class, and the next moment she's basically doing a promo reel for her BBL. However, going back to that first video we showed you, we made the rookie mistake of scrolling through the comments section. And unsurprisingly, it was a rabbit hole. One comment in particular really stood out. The user pointed out something most viewers have missed at first glance. The students' voices in the background. Apparently, you could hear them reacting to her, talking, whispering, and clearly responding to what she was doing on camera. The comment said, "Do you hear those children?" One said, "That's your teacher right there." And the boy said, "Oh, she bad." This is exactly why, and she knows it. And if you slow the video down and really listen, you can actually make out what the students are saying in the background. It was a small detail, almost easy to overlook, but it made the whole situation even more uncomfortable. And this is just the beginning. Now she's gone on record saying that her kids aren't like that, and she's not trying to seduce anyone. And sure, we'll take her word for it, but let's be real for a second. Everyone remembers what it was like being in middle school. We all had crushes on teachers at some point, and that's just part of growing up. Nobody's saying that teachers should stop caring about how they look just because some kid might get a silly crush. That happens regardless. But here's the thing. As the adult in the room, it's your responsibility to make sure you don't cross that line. There's a huge difference between looking professional and confident versus stepping into provocative territory. Teachers should always make sure there's a clear boundary in how students perceive them. Because like it or not, kids are impressionable. Boys obviously are going to react a certain way if their teacher is dressing up like she's about to hit the club. That's just biology mixed with immaturity. But it's not just the boys. The girls are affected too. At that age, girls are especially insecure and easily influenced. They see their teacher dressing this way, getting attention, and they might start thinking, well, maybe I should dress like that too. And suddenly they're begging their parents for crop tops and tight skirts just to fit in. And before you know it, the line between student and teacher starts to blur. And honestly, here's what makes it even more confusing. In schools, the dress code for students is usually strict. You'll see kids sent home for spaghetti straps or shorts that are too short. But somehow, in this case, the rules don't seem to apply to the teacher. Why? If a student wouldn't be allowed to wear these outfits, then why is it okay for the person teaching them to do it? It doesn't make sense. To be honest, maybe it's just this school, because most schools we know have strict dress codes for both staff and students. But here it feels like the administration is either looking the other way or just completely asleep at the wheel. And then, of course, there's the glaring issue of her account being completely public. We actually came across this comment on her profile that reads, "In high school, my teacher told all our kids to write their Instagram on the board and then blocked each and every one of us." Now, just to be clear, we're not saying Teacher Bay should take the same route as this teacher, not at all. That's not the point here. The point is that this whole situation shows something important. Teachers should care about how their students perceive them. And there are always ways to make sure kids don't see you in an inappropriate light. It doesn't mean you can't have a personal life or that you can't be confident in how you look. But as an educator, you're in a position of influence, and that comes with responsibility. Students, especially the younger ones, pick up on everything. And the least you can do is draw a clear line between your personal identity and your professional one, instead of blurring them together into one confusing mess like Teacher Bay has done. If her account was private, maybe this wouldn't be such a big deal. At least then there would be some control over who's actually seeing her posts. But instead, she's promoting her role as an educator while simultaneously putting out content that blurs the line between professionalism and thirst trapping. Take this one video we came across, for example. It's captioned, either way it go, I'm flat out gorgeous. Hashtag Miss Williams on an off day. Now, we don't even want to harp on about the clothes she's wearing here. You can see them for yourself. The point isn't whether the outfit is trendy or flattering, it's that it's definitely not something you'd want your students stumbling across. And as a teacher, as an educator, like she claims to be, that should matter. There's supposed to be some awareness of the example you're setting. But okay, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this was just one of those days where she was feeling herself, not really thinking about the fact that she's in a public profession with hundreds of kids watching. Fine, but here's where it gets interesting. We came across a comment on this very video where someone flat out asked her if she was actually a teacher. And her response? Well, let's just say it didn't exactly help her case. She said, "I am the teacher, but I'm not a teacher right here." Now here's the part that really makes it worse. While she's saying all of this, her video caption is literally tagged with hashtag Miss Williams, the same title that ties her directly to her profession. And even when she says she's on her off days, she's still leaning into this teacher persona she's created for herself. In our opinion, that's just gross. Because let's be real, we all know exactly what she's trying to do. She's the profession of being a teacher, specifically a female teacher, because she knows there's a whole audience of men out there who have that fantasy. And this isn't even some far-fetched theory. There are already examples of women online who play into this exact niche. Take Zara Dar, for example, an engineer who turned into an OnlyFans creator and now teaches math on adult websites. She even uploads the same videos to YouTube, but guess what? the adult site versions get way more views because, of course, there's an audience of men who are into that. That's the reality. The difference, though, between Teacher Bay and Zara Dar is actually pretty significant. Zara Dar, for all the questionable choices about the platform, at least knows what she's teaching. She's genuinely putting out educational content, even if the packaging is designed to attract a certain demographic. Unlike Teacher Bay, she actually knows things. And we're not just saying all this to nitpick for no reason. Teacher Bay herself has posted plenty of classroom videos, clips of her teaching, writing things on the whiteboard, and here's where it gets even messier. A lot of people noticed that her grammar was off. However, most noticeably, she capitalizes random words in a sentence for no reason. We mean, just look at this. It's honestly very OCD triggering. Now, this made us stop and think, what subject is she even teaching? Because if she's out here teaching vocabulary or English, then honestly our generation might be doomed. We're not even sure Miss Williams fully understands the difference between your and your herself. So naturally, we did a little digging. And turns out she's not an English teacher. She actually teaches reading to elementary school kids. On her Instagram post, she wrote, "My week went like this. My new journey. First year reading teacher. Watch me birth reading stars." Which honestly might even be worse when you realize that's how she's writing on her whiteboard. Imagine being 11 years old, trying to learn the basics of reading and comprehension, and your teacher's out here capitalizing random words like she's writing a ransom note. Now, when it comes to her writing and grammar mistakes, it's not just us noticing. A lot of people online have been pointing them out and even making videos about it. One that really stood out to us was from a TikTok creator who goes by the username Dude in the Do-Rag. He's actually made several videos about Teacher Bay. But in this particular one, he highlights her spelling issues. And honestly, he makes a great point. While everyone is busy talking about her outfits and how she presents herself, the real question should be, is she even a good teacher to begin with? Because at the end of the day, looking a certain way doesn't affect her students nearly as much as teaching them the wrong grammar or spelling. And if she's constantly making mistakes on the whiteboard in front of her kids, then that's a much bigger problem than whatever she's wearing in a TikTok.
Y'all are so concerned with what that teacher is wearing, but I'm more concerned at the fact that she is a school teacher and she's writing like this. Because why are you capitalizing random words within a sentence? And it's not a name. Why are you doing that? And what subject is she teaching? I hope it's not English language arts. Because if that's the case, these students are about to be in for a rude awakening when it comes to those standardized tests that they're going to have to take. Like, I'm seeing all these videos talking about, oh, her outfits are inappropriate. Her outfits are inappropriate. The outfits. The outfits. Her teaching needs to be appropriate, because right now, looking at that board, why is no one talking about this? No one's talking about this, and that's a big problem. Reading comprehension and literacy in the United States is already at an all-time low. I saw a report the other day, and it said, like, I can't remember the number, so I don't want to quote it specifically, but it was around like 45 to 47% of Americans are reading on a 4th grade level.
Yeah, it honestly seems like Teacher Bay and her students might be falling into that 40% category, because from what we've seen in her notes, the ones she frequently shows in her stories, she clearly doesn't seem to know much about punctuation or even the basics of grammar. But to be fair, the grammar itself isn't always the worst part. What really throws people off is the random capitalization of words that shows up all over her writing. Now, it's not like people haven't tried to defend her. A lot of commenters have said that maybe it's an exercise she's doing with her students, like when teachers intentionally write a sentence with mistakes on the board and then ask the kids to correct it as part of the activity. And yeah, fair enough, that could explain it. But here's where things start to fall apart for that defense. She writes every single one of her captions the exact same way. It's not just something that happened on the whiteboard for her students, it's literally in her TikToks, her posts, and anything she types out. We mean, just look at this. Besides all this, we also had the misfortune of opening her Instagram stories. And the very first picture we stumbled on had a caption that just made our brains short circuit. She wrote, "A grown women." Yes, women with an E. Now, last time we checked, women means more than one. So unless she's secretly an entire squad rolled into one person, the grammar is just flat out wrong. But let's even ignore the obvious mistake for a second. What kind of caption is that anyway? A grown woman? That's the whole thought? That's the big statement? And this is coming from someone who's supposed to be teaching kids how to read and write basic English. Like, really? If your job is literally to teach kids the difference between singular and plural, but your Instagram captions make it look like you skipped the same class you're teaching, then yes, we've got a problem. So yeah, it's pretty clear at this point that she doesn't actually know the very simple rule that you can't just capitalize random words unless it's a proper noun. And there is a difference between women and a woman. And there's a difference between women and a woman. But honestly, that's not even the worst thing about her. As we go further into this video, you'll see much more questionable things. Whether it's her response to the pedophilia allegations or the shenanigans tied to her account, the very R-rated TikTok account. But before we get into all that, we want to shed some more light on the type of content she posts on her main TikTok. Like we've mentioned before, her videos are just poorly put together. Sometimes it's literally just a random mashup of pictures of herself, followed by clips of her doing mundane classwork like checking papers, or her randomly flexing designer bags for no reason. None of it really has a point, and honestly it just feels weird and all over the place. Take this video for example.
I just been wanting in my purse, baby. And that's it started. I ain't need to scratch the surface, baby. Damn, you ain't gotta like it long as God loves it. Came a long way from me seeing outside thuggy. Yeah, and all my haters, I just pray for them. They can't match my energy. I think they make us they boring. And I really hate that to learn. Look, turn my spirit up. Tell Satan he can give it up. My phone up geared up, yeah. Look, you don't need a gun. That scripture hitting different. Read that Psalms line.
I mean, why? There are just so many whys running through our heads right now. Why this song? Why this cringe posing? Why the outfit that honestly makes her look more like a high school student than an actual teacher? And then out of nowhere, why the random flexing of her Marc Jacobs bags? Just in general, why? None of it makes sense. Also, another thing we really gotta talk about is her poses. Because honestly, they're just flat out inappropriate, and to be real, kinda cringy. Almost every single picture we've come across of her is the same thing. Either she's bending over, has her legs propped up in some suggestive way, or she's making sure her backside is the star of the shot. And we mean every picture. It's like she's convinced that if she's not bending over, she won't look her best. We mean here's she bending over, and here, and here, and again, and once again. And guess what? Again. We mean there are just too many to even show you guys. We also came across this one video captioned with, "Teaching with grace and raising scores with little to no effort. Be like Miss Williams." And the actual content? Well, let's just say it's not exactly the picture of grace, because apparently teaching with grace in her dictionary means bending over in front of the camera and making sure her backside is front and center. Real graceful, right?
It's, our future is bright up.
And you know what else screams grace? Flashing a Christian Dior bag at school like she's hosting some kind of runway show for elementary kids. Because nothing says raising scores like flexing your luxury handbag collection to a classroom full of kids who probably just want snack time. And if you think this is just a one-off slip-up, oh no, you'd be very, very wrong. Because Miss Williams has a whole habit of this. She's constantly talking about designer bags, flexing them like they're some kind of educational milestone, and parading them around school hallways as if holding a Marc Jacobs tote is equivalent to winning Teacher of the Year. We actually came across multiple videos where she's showing off her bags. For instance, there's this one video where she's randomly flashing her Prada bag. No context, no reason, just bam, Prada in your face. Then there's another video where she goes out of her way to start talking about her bag, even showing it off while it's sitting on a school table like it's part of the curriculum.
That's always asking why I have my bag. This is why I have my bag. Nowhere to lock it, okay? Okay.
We mean we are curious now. Who even asked her this question? Because we for sure didn't come across a single comment asking her about where she keeps her bag at school. And that's what makes this whole thing so bizarre. It's not subtle, it's not classy, it's very much in your face. The vibe is less dedicated teacher and more look at me, the designer bag-clad diva who just happens to work in a school. Now don't get us wrong, there's nothing wrong with having good taste or treating yourself to a nice bag. Everybody likes good things. But when you're flexing it in such a deliberate way over and over again, it stops looking like appreciation and starts looking like arrogance. And especially when you're already under fire for dressing inappropriately around kids, doubling down with the Prada in the classroom energy doesn't exactly help your case. But wait, because there's more. As if the cringe outfits and designer bag runway walks weren't enough, Miss Williams manages to take things to a whole new level of highly unprofessional. Why? Because in many of her videos, she's actually recording her students' papers and assignments, complete with their names and personal information visible. Yes, you heard that right. Instead of respecting the privacy of the kids she teaches, she's out here turning their homework into background props for her TikTok thirst traps. And this isn't just a one-time slip-up either, it's happened multiple times. People have even called her out for it. But clearly, in her personal dictionary, the word privacy is missing. We mean, just look at this. Right here in the video. The kid's full name and what he wrote on his paper are literally visible for the entire internet to see. We mean, come on. You're in a school teaching a class and blasting test papers on social media like it's a free promo. No school in their right mind would allow a teacher to grade papers while simultaneously filming them for clout. There are actual rules, codes of conduct, and professional standards in place for a reason. And it's not rocket science. What a student writes on their test is private, full stop. It could contain sensitive information, personal struggles, or even clues about learning challenges. Turning that into content for a public account isn't just bad judgment, it's reckless. Honestly, at this point, she's less influencer teacher and more walking HR violation. And if you think this isn't that big of a deal, then do yourself a favor. Run a simple Google search. You'll see that there are actual laws and regulations in place in a lot of states and countries specifically designed to protect student privacy. We're not talking about vague guidelines either. We're talking about clear-cut rules that say, don't expose your students' info to the entire internet. On top of that, there are also professional standards for teachers when it comes to social media use. Many schools and education boards actually have policies saying teachers should keep their accounts private, or at the very least, not mix their professional life with their personal thirst traps. And honestly, most responsible teachers online agree. It's just never a good idea to have a wide-open public account if you're working directly with children. But here's Miss Williams, not only making her account public, but also blending her role as an educator with content that feels straight out of a nightclub promo. And believe it or not, it actually gets worse. Because it's one thing to accidentally catch kids walking past in the background of a video, still unprofessional, but at least somewhat explainable. But Miss Williams has taken it several steps further. She's actually shared entire videos of her students at cheerleading practices straight to her social media. Let that sink in. These aren't stock photos. These aren't nameless silhouettes. These are actual children whose faces and activities are now part of her online brand. No blurring, no permission slips as far as we can tell. Just straight up, here's my students, content for thousands of strangers to scroll past. And it's not only that. Miss Williams also has this habit of recording herself inside the classroom while she's writing on the whiteboard or interacting with her students. Thankfully, in most of these videos, the kids' faces aren't shown. But the videos themselves, they're very, very performative. We came across one clip in particular where she's sitting in front of her class, music playing in the background, pretending to deliver some big teacher moment. But the whole thing feels off. Almost like she's auditioning for a role on a TV show about teaching rather than, actually teaching. One commenter even pointed out that it looks like she's just acting for the camera, mouthing words, moving dramatically, basically staging the whole scene to look like she's this serious, no-nonsense teacher. The comment read, "Why do I feel she just put her phone and acted like she was having a conversation?" And honestly, once you see it from that perspective, you can't unsee it. It doesn't look like authentic teaching, it looks like cosplay. Teacher cosplay, which makes it really hard to take her seriously as an educator. But like we said, that's not the only way she likes to film herself in the classroom. Almost every single one of her videos in that setting ends up focusing on her showing off her BBL. Tight skirts, skinny jeans, you name it. Honestly, it's hilarious how she can even make a regular pair of jeans look inappropriate. And yeah, we'll admit it's not always the outfit itself. Sometimes the skirt or dress isn't even that bad. It's just the way she carries herself. I mean, just look at these clips we've put together of her and you'll know what we're talking about.
To be focused on my path, I'm the one, I'm the key. Living on my dreams, yeah, I'm walking in my destiny.
Now, we agree, some of these outfits were definitely not so inappropriate, but the bigger question is, why does she need to keep recording herself in that exact same pose over and over again? The walking away pose, the bending over pose, the peeking behind the wall pose. It's all the same story. She likes to show off her BBL. And it's just weird, because she's literally teaching in front of kids while doing it. And if you want to show off your body, there are plenty of other places for that. Just leave the classroom out of it. That's straight up inappropriate. And if that's still not enough to convince you of what she's really trying to do, just look at the comments sections under her posts. Tons of people are already calling her out for doing little moves to make it jiggle. Now, we don't know if she's actually doing this on purpose or not. At the end of the day, she has a curvy body. Whether it's natural or not is a whole separate conversation, and honestly, it really shouldn't have anything to do with her profession. Having a certain body type isn't a crime, and no one is saying that teachers should look a certain way. But here's where the line gets blurry. The rules you have to follow do matter, and so does your conduct as a teacher. A lot of people could probably defend her by saying, well, it's just her body. What do you expect her to do, hide it? But that excuse doesn't hold up when you look at the way she chooses to film herself, the poses she goes for, the music she uses, and the way she edits these videos. That's not just existing in your body, that's intentionally creating content in a way that blurs professionalism. And that's exactly why, even if we let the whole BBL thing slide, there are still plenty of things to be mad about. The way she consistently films in her classroom, the way she shows off students' work, the way she performs for the camera instead of just teaching. None of that has anything to do with her body. Those are choices and not good ones. And just when you think it couldn't get any more bizarre, we stumbled across this one clip that honestly just left us secondhand embarrassed. In this video, she's at what looks like a gas station, minding her own business, or at least trying to. But then out of nowhere, there's this random guy recording her and literally shouting after her, calling her Miss Williams and saying he wants to be in her class. Like, what?
Teacher May! Miss Williams! I want to be in your class, girl!
I mean, this is just embarrassing on so many levels. First off, let's be real here, no actual man is chasing after her at a gas station calling her Miss Williams and begging to be in her class. That whole thing looks staged from start to finish. You can almost picture the behind-the-scenes moment. She hands the guy a phone, tells him exactly what to say, and then struts toward the door pretending to be all nonchalant, like she's some kind of A-list celebrity and the paparazzi are camped outside waiting for a glimpse of her. The act is so painfully obvious it almost hurts to watch. And more than that, like we've mentioned before, this whole thing just feeds into that tired, hot teacher fantasy that she's been milking for attention from the very beginning. Whether it's grown men or even younger boys who stumble across her content, she leans way too far into that narrative. And it's not coming across as classy at all, it's just raunchy. Instead of separating her professional life from this weird persona she's built online, she's blending the two in a way that's crossing boundaries left and right. However, whatever she's doing seems to be working. The thing is, as much as people criticize her, there's also a whole group of men hyping her up in the comments. She'll jump in every time someone calls her out, saying that all women criticizing her are just jealous or mad that they don't look like her. We actually came across one of her story responses that really highlights this dynamic. Someone had sent her a message that reads, "I see why they are so mad at you, LOL. People who don't love themselves hate a bad, confident." Now, we don't even know where this screenshot originally came from, but honestly, it's very likely that she just posted it herself. That way she can use it as proof that she's this confident, untouchable woman who doesn't care what anyone says. And this isn't a one-off either. She talks about it all the time. In fact, she presents herself as this self-proclaimed confident. And if you take even one look at one of her Instagram posts, you'll see exactly what we mean. This picture on her Instagram is captioned, "I don't care what that on, she ain't bad as me," along with this line. So yeah, she really does present herself like she's somehow above everyone else, like she's this untouchable figure. And honestly, fine. If she wants to believe that, then let her. But the thing is, her public content isn't even the beginning of the story. While we were digging deeper into her online presence, we came across something that honestly left us shocked. See, people have been calling her out for a long time about not keeping her personal life separate from her teaching career. And as it turns out, they were right. She actually does have another account. And unfortunately for us, we found it. And let us tell you guys, we wish we hadn't, because what we saw on there was on a whole other level. This account, which goes by the name Peachy Skin, currently has around 9,000 followers. And unlike her main TikTok page, where she already pushes the line of what's considered appropriate for a teacher, this secondary account goes way past it. We're talking about content so explicit and so inappropriate that we can't even show it on camera. We'd have to blur everything out. It makes her main page look tame in comparison, which is really saying something. And of course, once people started connecting the dots, they quickly found this second account and began flooding the comments with questions and criticisms. It didn't take long for word to spread. Naturally, she started backpedaling. If you go to the account right now, you'll notice that most of those videos have mysteriously disappeared, deleted almost overnight once people caught on. But the internet never forgets. We actually came across a repost of one of her videos on Reddit, and it's really bad. The reposted video we found was honestly shocking. It was a close-up, slow-motion clip of her twerking with barely anything covered. She was wearing these sheer leggings that left almost nothing to the imagination, and the whole thing was just nasty. Like, we get it, people post this type of content on TikTok and other platforms all the time, but when you're a teacher with kids who might stumble across your profile, this just crosses every line possible. It's one thing to have a separate life outside of school. That's your business. But it's another to record something like this and put it out publicly under a name people can easily trace back to you. And as bad and unacceptable as that twerking video was, there's something else about this second account that honestly left us speechless. If you go check it right now, there are only 2 videos left on it, both of them showing cheerleading practice with her students' faces clearly visible. Now here's the disturbing part. These cheerleading videos weren't uploaded recently as a cover-up after deleting everything else. No, when we first visited her Peachy Skin account, they were already there, posted right alongside the sea of highly inappropriate clips of her twerking in see-through leggings. So yes, she actually had the audacity to upload videos of her students and explicit videos of herself on the same page. That is not just unprofessional, it's straight up disturbing. It's harmful, it's dangerous. Uploading pictures or videos of your students without parental permission is already a massive violation. Most schools have strict policies against this for very obvious reasons. It's a privacy risk, it puts kids in vulnerable positions, and it betrays the trust of both students and their parents. But to post those same kids' faces on an account where you're also yourself as a teacher, that's a whole new level of wrong. Just imagine being a parent stumbling across this, finding your child's face on a page that also hosts videos of their teacher twerking in lingerie-style outfits. No parent in their right mind would ever want their kid in that classroom again. This isn't just embarrassing, it's a complete disgrace. So naturally, after one thing after another started surfacing about this woman, people began heavily questioning her choices. And honestly, it was only a matter of time before the conversation escalated. The more people dug into her accounts, the more unsettling it became, and soon accusations started flying. Some even went as far as to call her a pedophile.
You are a predator. She's a predator. And this little trend with the teacher bait is disturbing. And the fact that we're even having this conversation lets me know exactly where we are as a society.
She's a pedophile. Let's call it for what it is. It's not her outfits. She knows are inappropriate. She knows these boys are looking. Why do you want boys to look at you? Unless you're trying to attract them and maybe get you one. And A lot of times.
Now, let's be clear, those are very serious accusations, but when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you can understand why people are concerned. It's not just about her provocative outfits or the constant posing. The real issue is that she has a documented history of posting highly inappropriate videos right alongside content featuring children. That combination alone is enough to raise red flags everywhere. Not only this, but people online also began pointing out something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. More often than not, when we hear about predatory behavior, it's men being accused. Let's not kid ourselves. Women in positions of authority like teachers are fully capable of doing the same kind of thing. And honestly, this opens up a huge conversation that desperately needs to be had. Because here's the reality. We have very clear rules in outrage when an older male authority figure tries to date or sleep with a younger female student. No one debates it. It's predatory, it's abusive, and it's unacceptable. But what happens when the genders are reversed? When it's a female teacher and a younger male student, suddenly people don't treat it with the same level of seriousness. And that's a massive problem. Why is that? Simple, there's a cultural fantasy around it. Too many people see it as some kind of dream scenario for the boy. They frame it as if he's lucky, as if it's some badge of honor, a clap on the back because an older woman chose him. But let's be honest, that's not empowerment, that's exploitation. Young boys don't know better. They're impressionable, insecure, and more vulnerable than people like to admit. They might even be eager to participate because they don't understand the consequences. And meanwhile, no one's talking about just how dangerous that situation really is. This is not a joke. This is not something to brag about, and it's definitely not something young boys should ever be applauded for. It's predatory. It's damaging. And the fact that society still sweeps it under the rug because of some outdated fantasy is exactly why conversations like this are so important. That being said, we'd like to now shift focus toward Teacher Bay's response to all of this controversy. And trust us when we say it is every bit as awful as you would expect from someone like her. She begins the video in the most tone-deaf way possible, talking about her hair, casually getting ready, and mentioning how she's still a teacher while on her way to deposit some money. The way she presented herself made it painfully clear what she was trying to do. Flex. She wanted to show everyone how much she has, how she can get her hair done whenever she pleases, and how she doesn't like not looking put together. It was less about addressing the real accusations and more about parading a lifestyle, as if money and glam could somehow wash away the mess she had created.
Hey, good morning. Call me while I get ready to go to work. So yes, of course, I'm still a teacher. Haha, still here. I'm going to deposit my money before I go to work because I don't want to leave money in my purse. However, I'm at the ATM. I came late this morning because I had to go to the doctor. And you know, I'm not gonna really take pics because I gotta get my hair done over. After I see my hairstyle too many times, I get tired of looking at the pictures. That's just me. Sorry. So I just made a successful deposit. I'm going to take my...
But the real outrage didn't kick in until she sat down in her car and started talking. And what she chose to address first spoke volumes about where her priorities truly were. Instead of responding to the accusations of inappropriate conduct or the extremely serious concerns of predatory behavior, the very first thing she felt the need to clear up was the speculation that she had gotten a BBL. Not the fact that people were questioning whether she should be around children, not the fact that her content was resurfacing in disturbing contexts. No, her BBL. She went on a rant asking everyone, "Who told y'all I had a BBL?" without denying it either, almost leaning into the attention. And to top it all off, she made it clear that in her mind, the real problem wasn't her behavior, but the fact that people online had the nerve to call her out. According to her, everyone commenting was just miserable.
Ready? Now that I'm in the car, I want a lot of y'all to know that y'all are miserable. Y'all are really miserable. Like, y'all are making up stuff. Like, first of all, let's start here. Who even told y'all I had a BBL? Who told y'all that? Who told y'all that? Not saying it's true or not true, but I want to know who told you that. Because I got a BBL, I can't have a career? What if I just wanted some buns?
And when she finally decided to address the pedophile allegations, what came out of her mouth was nothing short of appalling. Instead of showing even the smallest shred of concern for the children people were worried about, or attempting to seriously respond to the accusations, she delivered her response with this hateful, dismissive energy. It wasn't careful, it wasn't empathetic, it was spiteful.
Let's stop the PDF narrative. My children don't do that. They are very respectful young 10, 11-year-olds. They don't even look at me. And quite frankly, I'm not that nice of a teacher. I'm very mean, strict, and firm. You better come in that classroom to see. Like, I'm so bubbly. Come get a hug. I don't know. I know y'all really love me. I love y'all too. I really do. Like, I don't ever want to lose y'all.
Rather than acknowledging why people were alarmed, she brushed it all off, almost mocking the idea that there was anything wrong with her behavior. And on top of that, she kept repeating, "Be careful what you wish for," over and over again, as if it were some kind of warning. She implied that people didn't really want to see her in loose clothes, and the way she said it, it almost sounded like a threat. Like if she dared to put on a baggy outfit, something catastrophic would happen. The sky would fall, the ground would split open, the earth would swallow us whole.
Also, be careful what you wish for, okay? You don't want me to wear looser clothes. You might want me to just keep them a little bit hugging me, okay? Because, yeah, just be careful what you wish for. Just let me be. I'm telling you, let me be.
And it didn't stop with that one video. If anything, it only got worse. Instead of taking a step back to reflect, she doubled down. She's been uploading more outrageous videos now. In one video, she's asking her followers to help her pick an outfit, once again flaunting her body instead of tackling the real issues people are calling her out for. She's showing off her luxury bag, but not just any bag. No, she complained about how she had to use her $35,000 designer bag as a baby bag, as if that's some sort of relatable struggle. She made sure to show off her nails, her hair, her makeup, basically anything to remind people how above everyone else she thinks she is.
Alright, it's Sunday, calling me to get my life together. I just left church. Church was always good. I go to church every Sunday. Now I'm gonna go get my lashes and my eyebrows done. I was supposed to have my hair done this morning, but I'm last minute, so I'll just get that done tomorrow. But it's okay, I pay for my inconveniences. And then I had to turn my $3,500 bag into a baby bag. Alright, TikTok. So I got my lashes and my eyebrows done. And it's raining really bad, so I'm gonna go home and get my hair done tomorrow. Later.
And not only that, but now guess what? Teacher Bay has decided to start going live and answering fan questions. And we all know exactly how this kind of thing plays out. We've seen it happen far too many times before. Someone jumps on live thinking they can control the narrative, only for it to completely spiral out of their hands.
I'm going to do a live tomorrow, so make sure you guys are here to ask me any questions that you want to ask me. I will be answering them because, I don't know, I just feel like it. So, tomorrow we're going to be on live after I'm done getting my hair done and stuff. And you guys can help me pick out my outfit tomorrow. How about that? Well, for Tuesday. And I'm not wearing a cardigan, so don't ask.
We mean, let's be real. When you open that door, people are going to dig deeper. They're going to ask harder questions, and sooner or later, more dirt is going to come to the surface. And when that happens, it's not just her image that's going to take a hit. It's going to get messy for everyone involved. So while she might think that these live streams are her chance to set the record straight or prove she's unbothered, the reality is they're only pouring more gasoline on the fire. And when that fire finally blows up, it's not going to end well, for her or for anybody else. In our opinion, her situation is only getting worse from here on out.